Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding this markup and, as always, for working with us in a bipartisan manner. I strongly support the two measures in Ms. en bloc, H.R. 400, the Trafficking Prevention and Foreign Affairs Contracting Act, and H.Res 53, a resolution condemning the attacks by Boko Haram in northeastern Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, I want to commend your leadership on human trafficking issues. You mentioned all the people, all our colleagues who have done this, Mr. Smith for years, and so many other people on this committee. As you noted, current law prohibits U.S. government contractors from charging foreign workers unreasonable placement and recruitment fees. But as the GAO has pointed out, neither the State Department nor USAID has adequately defined what unreasonable means. We don't want to leave any ambiguity that could lead to debt bondage or any form of human trafficking. The bill simply requires the State Department and USAID to submit a report clarifying this definition. Human trafficking is modern slavery, a horrific crime and an assault on freedom and justice. As a leader in fighting this scourge, our government needs to make sure that our procurement and contracting practices don't lead to abuse or exploitation of workers. The bill before us today will help ensure taxpayer dollars aren't inadvertently making this problem worse. I strongly support this legislation and urge all of my colleagues to do the same. Mr. Chairman, I also support H.Res 53, a resolution condemning Boko Haram and encouraging free, fair, and on-time elections in Nigeria. I want to commend our new colleague on the committee, Congresswoman Robin Kelly, for introducing this important measure and for her leadership on this issue. Nigeria is going through a very difficult period right now. The brutal terrorist group Boko Haram has continued its reign of terror, ruthlessly killing hundreds of civilians in the northeast part of the country. And in a controversial move, Nigeria's presidential election has been postponed. Over the past 5 years, Nigeria's leaders have not dealt adequately with the challenge of Boko Haram. They must do better, and that's what this resolution says. It also applauds the efforts of other countries in the region, including Chad, Niger, and Cameroon, to cooperate in the offensive against Boko Haram. With respect to Nigeria's elections, I am deeply concerned by the 6-week delay announced earlier this month by the elected commission. Many believe this action was politically motivated. Nigeria is Africa's largest democracy and economy. The continent cannot afford for illegitimate elections to undermine stability in that country. This resolution urges the government of Nigeria to hold elections on March 28th and calls on all parties to refrain from violence. Credible elections in such an important country will help project stability across the continent. So I urge my colleagues to, as well, support this important resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Engel.
Mr. Chairman, I want to personally thank you for bringing up this important bipartisan legislation. As always, you are clear-headed and determined and steady on important issues such as North Korea. You and I agree about the threat posed by North Korea. I want to thank you for giving this issue the attention it deserves, and I'm proud to be the lead Democratic sponsor of the North Korea Sanctions Enforcement Act. North Korea's unrelenting pursuit of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles, their brazen disregard for international law, and their brutality against their own people has gone on for far too long. The United States and governments around the world must be clear to leaders in Pyongyang. The only way for the regime to end its political and economic isolation is to abandon its current course. This legislation sends just that message. Specifically, this bill broadens sanctions against North Korea. It targets those who are helping to sustain the Kim regime through illicit activities. It also enhances the enforcement of sanctions. I have been to North Korea twice, and I must tell you that the North Korean people certainly deserve better than what they have. This legislation gives the President important tools and the flexibility to act in a way that best serves our national interest. It also provides important exceptions for the humanitarian relief organizations providing food, medicine, and other assistance to the North Korean people. We've seen this regime's track record. a cyber attack against Sony Pictures in December of last year, gross human rights abuses against its own people, an illegal nuclear weapons program. It's time to raise the costs on the Kim Jong-un government. This is the right legislation at the right time, and I urge my colleagues to support it. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Elliot. Do any other members seek